What does it take to be a real? Oh, let me get the light on. What does it take to be a real estate investor? That's right. Is that right? I don't know. Okay. So listen. It's a very general question, right? There are plenty of real estate investors who do different things. There are real estate investors who buy and hold. There's real estate investors who do value add on commercial properties. I'm going to focus now. Oh, by the way, this is Michael Pinter. Welcome to the. I screwed this one up, right? Welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping and wholesaling houses in New York. Or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. So the question I got is, what does it take to be a real estate investor? So I'm going to sort of go along the lines of what I do, right? So I am a wholesaler slash flipper in New York. So I buy, we'll go to contract on 1 to 4 family properties, and then I make money on them in a variety of different ways, right? I can wholesale them, which means I assign the contract. I can wholesale the property, which means I close on it and then I do minimal work to it or no work to it and then sell it retail. And I also rehab properties, which means doing more extensive work. And that's the one flipping, I guess, that everybody knows. So what does it take? The main things that it takes are consistency and perseverance, right? And these are really the things that are going to make anybody successful in any business, right? But the things that allow you to be consistent and persevere in any business is a strong desire to make it happen, right? So that is why people are successful, because they are willing to go through many, many, many failures before they get to success, right? I believe wholeheartedly that the difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful person is that the successful person has failed a significantly more larger amount of times than the unsuccessful person. And and that's it. As stupid as that sounds, right? Now point is, it's not as simple as I think. Now, what do we think? We all think in our heads that we see somebody successful. Oh, that guy is smarter than me. That guy got all the breaks. That guy had perfect timing. That guy had a great idea. That guy had money from somewhere else. That guy had support. The truth is, it's just he really wanted it, and you maybe didn't want it as much. Right? I remember I ran the New York City Marathon in 2006, and I really wanted to do it. And it takes a lot to train for it. I am no runner. I mean, you could see I am not. I'm no skinny marathon runner. And I was much heavier then, but I wanted it, and I did it. And it was great, and I thought I wanted to do it again. So I got guaranteed entry in 2009, which was very difficult to get guaranteed entry. The way to get guaranteed entry is to run a certain amount of sanctioned races. I even drove to Washington D.C. because the New York Roadrunners Club had a sanctioned race in D.C. and it was a day. I'm an Orthodox Jew. It was a day that was called a fast day. We don't eat or drink that day, but I did it. And I didn't eat or drink, and I ran. It was a short race. It was only a 5K, 3 miles. But my point is, I thought I wanted it, and then as I was training for it, and I got up to like 15, 16 miles that summer, I realized I really didn't want it, and I stopped. And I don't consider myself a failure. I consider myself the fact that I just didn't want to do it again. I didn't want to give up every Sunday in the summer, because once I get to like 15 miles, I'm knocked out for the whole day. So my point is that most people start things they think they want, and then they very often don't end up doing it. And then they look at someone who did do it, and they say something like, well, that guy had disadvantage over me. But very often it's just that guy wanted to do it, and he's willing to put up with the crap. So if you're a real estate investor that does what I do, there's a tremendous amount of rejection, right? And there's a tremendous amount of failure, right? You're going to go into deals that aren't going to work. I've lost money on deals, right? And that is something you need to accept. And there are people who get into a deal, and if your overarching fear when you get in, before you get into a deal, is I don't want to lose money, chances are you're not going to be that successful, because you're probably going to pass up on a lot of deals that you should do, and you get more confident to do that over time, right? And by a deal fails, and you realize it's not the end of the world, right? You're still alive, and you can move on. And when you realize, this seems like a good deal, I think it's going to make money, but if everything I'm assuming is wrong, I'm going to lose some money. Um, that really gives you an advantage. And for most people that start in this business, they don't think of it that way, right? They're terrified of losing money on a deal, of making a mistake, of doing the wrong thing. Let me just tell you something. Myself, and I know hundreds of very successful real estate investors also. I'm part of a mastermind with 150 members. Every one of us have made so many freaking mistakes and screwed up so many times. You couldn't even count. The point is, you learn from those mistakes, right? Someone once said a great thing. They said either you win or you learn. Those are the only two choices. There's no failure, right? Because you learn, right? I learned a lot. I probably learned more from the deals that I lost money on than I did from the deals I made money on, right? Because I learned something that I'll never forget, right? I'll just tell you the big secret. Well, the big secret for my screw ups all came around the same time, and all those deals came from the same reason. And this was the reason, and this is something that it sticks with me. I will never get out of my head. I rehabbed these three properties, and I spent too much and took too long. Very common. And then I looked at what I wanted to make, and I priced those deals based on what I wanted to make, not what the market really indicated, but what I wanted to make more money. Right? They were both very tight deals at that point. Maybe would have made 20,000 on them. And on a rehab, I usually make more, and I had investors that I wanted to impress, so I priced them too high. And then what happened? They sat, right? No one wanted to pay that. And eventually I dropped the price to where I should have had it, and I sold them for what I should have priced them out the first time. And if I would have just priced them out the first time, I would have broken even or made a little money on all of these. I think it was 3 or 4 deals at the same time. And it was my screw up. And I learned something incredibly valuable. And that is, no one cares what you spend on a property. No one cares how much money you put into it. No one cares how much time it took. They only care about what the market is indicating. So you got to look every time you price a deal. You got to look again. What are things going for in that area? What is the right price for this? Obviously, depending on the finish and depending on what it looks like. So, and the location. So that's the only thing. So that's an incredibly powerful incredibly powerful lesson that I learned that I will never forget. Right, and I do it every time I price a deal. I check it again and again, and I'm like, I got to make sure I'm not screwing this up. Okay, now. I learned that by losing money. And I think that in general, we learn much more from our failures than our success. So now if you think about that, right? If you go into this business as a real estate investor thinking, A, I'm either going to win or I'm going to learn. B, anything I learn from a screw up is going to be something that I'm going to remember even more and protect me from losing money, making the same mistakes again. Then things get a lot easier, right? And you have to accept failure, right? Perseverance and consistency. So really the main thing that I do, I mean, people think this is some glamorous business. When I started, I did not go direct to seller. I bought properties at auction, and I wanted to be Tarek El Moussa from Flip or Flop, and I really thought that this was some glamorous business where I was going to transform houses, and people would kind of come in and fawn over me and say how great everything was. And over 4 years, I learned that that's probably not the case. But really, what the main part of what we do, the most important part, is marketing, right? And marketing is not a sexy business, right? I am paying data companies. I am manipulating data. I am setting up RVM, ringless voicemails, and I am hiring cold callers all the way across the country, across the world in the Philippines, and I am sending out mail and dealing with return mail. It's not a sexy, exciting business, right? That is it. But you need to be consistent, and it's very hard to be consistent in marketing. It's much easier to say, "Oh, this thing worked great. I'm going to throw money at it. This thing doesn't work great." But in New York, especially in New York, much more in New York than any other of the 49 states, everything takes forever. The sales cycle takes forever here. I don't know anything about a marketing channel until I've done it for over a year. I think I really need 18 months to figure it out, right? In other parts of the country, you can figure it out in 2-3 months, right? Because there's an immediate return, right? And the reason why is because I believe, and I think I'm right here, but it's my belief. People in other states really look at their house as a much more liquid asset. So they believe that if they get in a pinch, some kind of financial problem, they can get rid of their house, sell it to a cash investor, and sell it quick. But in New York, the process takes much longer because attorneys are involved, and everybody, a quick wholesale deal for me is like 2 months. A quick wholesale deal in other places could be 2 weeks or even less. So everything takes longer, and the sales cycle is longer. So you need to be consistent. When everything you're going to spend money on marketing, you need to budget it out really for a year or a year and a half. Right? And most people can't do that. They're like, I'm gonna try mail once and see if it works. That's just a waste of money. That's literally like flushing your money down the toilet. I always tell people if they're going to mail a list once, you got to mail it 6 times, 6 or 7 really, right? I'll mail people 15 times, but mail's expensive, right? So if you're going to call, you got to call multiple times. You're going to text, you got to text multiple times. You're going to RVM, you got to RVM multiple times. Whatever you're doing, you got to do it a lot, right? And you got to persevere past those people. So I get people telling me all the time, "Oh, I got this list, but everybody on the list wanted retail." I hear that all the time. Guess what? The best list, my list, and I pay a ton of money for my data. A lot of people tell me they want retail. That's just the way it goes. You have to accept that, right? I tell people if you get a list of 10,000 and you're going to work it for 6 months to 9 months, you could hope to get one deal from it. One. Now, we're lucky in this area because an average deal here is 30, 40, $30,000 for a wholesale, 50, 60, $70,000 for a rehab. So guess what? It's worth it, right? And I'm not saying that you're only going to get one deal. You're going to get leads that'll turn into deals later. But you have to be consistent and you have to be persistent and persist past people yelling at you, telling you to. I got told die in a fire. I got told I'm a scam artist. I'm trying to make a quick buck. I'm trying to take it. I had somebody tell me they were going to call the police on me. It happens all the time. I'm going to call a district attorney on you. Whatever it is, you have to be persistent and consistent. Those are the two things. And you have to go into this knowing that this is going to take a long time and that you're going to get told horrible things and there's going to be setbacks. But if you stick with it, I really think anybody can do this. I really don't think this is brain surgery. And we have another advantage in New York, besides the fact that we make so much money. There are very few competitors here because the way things are done here are so different. So most people that go online and learn from great gurus are being told to do things that don't work here, right? You can't bring a contract to a seller appointment. That's not how it works. You can't ask for a inspection contingency. That's not how it works here. There's no investor-friendly title company, no such thing here. So those are things that just don't apply here, and that people don't know, and therefore there's a lot less competition. So I'm very happy operating in New York. I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in how other ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're interested in my course that teaches how to do this, go to howtoflipnewyorkcourse.com. If you are interested in one-on-one coaching, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. Whatever channel you're listening on, please give me thumbs up. Those thumbs up really help me. And keep the comments coming. I go live 5 times a week. Sometimes I don't know what to say, so the comments help me. There are no bad comments or no comments that are too simple. If it's a simple answer, I'll just reply. If it's a topic that I covered recently or in depth, I'll send you a link to a video or videos. And if it's something new, I'll do a video on it. Thank you very, very, very much for watching.